Drinking already, yeah. Gin. Listen, well done. Nice effort. Chris talked for the first 3 minutes about nothing. Absolutely nothing. Typical politician. Sorry. Sorry, my side. You know, we don't speak French. We're not very good at it, and obviously Blair was useless at it, but we understand the word non. And Charles de Gaulle said non. We should have believed him. Non. And non, and encore, do non. Because we don't want to be part of them, and to be honest, they actually don't want us to be part of them either. They don't like us. If they liked us, they'd trade with us. They don't trade with us very much. We are one of the smallest countries they trade with. And yet we are their biggest customer. We buy off them, but they don't buy off us. When I say trade, wrong thing to say, sorry. But they don't buy off us. And this is what you've got to look at, really. Because outside the rest of the world, it's a big world. We've got a massive market, which we use. And that's growing all the time. Whereas Europe has shrunk by 10% in this recession. In the rest of the world, trade has gone up by 4%. We can stand alone. And you were saying, when have we become feeble? We become feeble when we joined the EU. In the old days, we used to stand on our own 2 feet. Yes, Maggie Thatcher had a way. She said, forget the empire. And sure, we should forget the empire. But it doesn't stop us being proud of Britain. I don't think many people are proud of Europe. It's a mess. Do we want to be part of a mess? Do we want to pick up all the pieces? Greece, I can't remember what they call it now, but it's some rude word, isn't it? But Greece, what's it called?
Pigs.
Pigs, exactly. Portugal, Ireland, Italy, Greece, and yes, and Spain. Yeah. It's the third world, in a way. We are a first world country. We should believe in ourselves. And we don't, you know. We don't, because we have to fall back on the laws given to us by Europe. They dictate so much of what goes on in our life on a day-to-day basis. Why would we want to be a member of a club that doesn't really want us to be a member? I ask you. Sure, they want our money. You know, 19 billion we talked about. I don't know the figure exactly, but I'll believe you. But we're definitely a thorn in their flesh. They don't like us getting upset about their laws. They don't like us sticking a veto in. Not that we can do many vetoes nowadays, because they've changed the rules. And they don't want our goods and services. You know, our trade deficit with EU 26 was 190 billion in 2011. And the trade deficit was with 19 out of those 26 countries. It's not good for us. So if we left, I don't think we'd have a trading problem. You know, and in fact, I'm being technical here because I don't know what the hell I'm talking about, but I read it. Under Articles 5, 8 and 50 of the Lisbon Treaty, the EU is obliged to negotiate free trade agreements with any departing country. So we got no problem with this thing that they won't trade with us. They will trade with us. They need our business. We're their biggest single customer. So 2 years ago, the EU had free trade agreements with 63 non-EU countries, and there's another 63 waiting to happen. So we're the biggest, by far, the biggest single customer worldwide for Eurozone and the EU 26 as a whole. I don't think the Germans are going to stop trading with us. You know, if we got out of Europe and slapped import duties on all their cars, they'd be really upset. You know, we are a massive customer for BMW, for Audi, for Mini. They used to be us. Do you remember? Rolls-Royce used to be ours. Remember? They are cars. The cars are emblematic symbol of German post-war recovery. They need that business. We're a massive customer to Germany. And anyway, you know, we would deal with the rest of the world very easily because we'd abolish all the duty the EU imposes on other countries like Japan, China, South Korea. And I just think there's a big, big world out there. We don't have to worry about little Europe. And I say little Europe because they're squabbling all the time. We're looking at a German Europe. That's what's going to happen. The French, they kick up a little bit. They ignored the rest of Europe anyway. They ignore the rules. Unfortunately, with the British, we always say we. We always say yes. We always do the rules, don't we? We never kick up a fuss. We never barricade the motorways like the French do, because we do what we're told, and that's what's wrong. For once in our lives, we should stand alone and tell Europe that actually we don't like what we're seeing. We don't like all these laws imposed on us. It's just unbelievably restrictive. So, I don't know. I mean, I talk as a layman. I talk as an interested layman. I know what it's done to our agriculture. You know, for every family, it's costing us about £1,200 in food price rises that we wouldn't, if we were on our own, we would trade with everyone. £1,200 per family is what Europe costs us in farming and food. Look at our fishing industry, decimated. The Spanish, everyone has raped our seas. We would have our own fishing industry, and we would have a massive export market of our own fish. We haven't got that anymore. You know, they buy flags of convenience from Mongolia, which, as far as I'm aware, I didn't do geography at A-level, but as far as I'm aware, it doesn't even have a sea around it. But they sell these flags for nothing, just so people can trade. You know, our trade surplus with the United States 2006 to 2011 was 114 billion. And at the same time, our deficit with Europe was 190 billion. America are a massive customer to us. North Atlantic Free Trade Association, it's good. You know, we have a surplus with Australia. They like us. America likes us. Switzerland actually like us. We have a trade surplus with Switzerland. You know, the EU imports over £1,700 billion worth of goods, and only 11% of that comes from the UK. Since 1973, if we'd invested our EU budget contributions into a British sovereign wealth fund, that fund would be one of the biggest funds in the world. It would be the same as Abu Dhabi and Norway, the world's two biggest sovereign funds. And what's happened with Norway? You know, nobody mentions Norway. Well, they got out, didn't they? And they're trading one. They're one of the richest countries in Europe. Didn't they go in? They didn't want to go in anyway. Quite right.
They voted not to go in. They voted not to go in.
They voted not to go in. That's the point. We've never been allowed to do that. Yeah, but we were, as we were explained earlier, they lied to us. Are you interrupting? I read the rules on the back here. You trying to help? That's very kind. But we should be reasserting our control over our waters, and we should be helping ourselves. Look at, why, I mean, it's dog eat dog at the moment, isn't it? It's a tough old world out there.
Dog eat horse.
Yes, you should try their meatballs, they're the dog's bollocks. Anyway, that's another story. Shh, no jokes, please. We're talking very seriously here. Now, we should be helping ourselves instead of helping the rest of the world. My wife's Irish, lovely girl, but Ireland took us all to the cleaners. Their roads are magnificent, and it's all paid by Europe. You go to... I don't want to upset anyone here, but you know, we are always coughing up funds for countries. We don't cough up any funds for ourselves, hardly. You know, we've got poverty in this country, and yet we're always helping other people. Sometimes we have to stand on our own 2 feet and help ourselves. Now, EU laws are proposed in secret by unelected European Commission, and they're talking about democracy. It's a monopoly of power. They don't get voted by European Parliament. I think European Parliament, as far as I'm aware, get to see them, but they don't get to change them. Our British Parliament, no, they don't. Our British Parliament don't get to change them. We have to nod them through. And look what's happening today. One of our biggest industries, one of our biggest service industries, our banking industry. Now, we may not like bankers at the moment. They will come back into fashion one day. But at the moment, we're being told today they're going to introduce this law that caps their bonuses to once a year's salary. Maybe it'll get up to 2 if they argue right. You know, where are they going to go? Singapore, America? All the talent is at the end already. And I was just enjoying myself. Oh my God. Anyway, listen, there must be something I've got to say that I haven't. Anyway, I would say this briefly. I've got to finish because you're going to take Norway and Switzerland are Europe's 2 richest countries. Neither has anything like the UK's global economic weight and might and standing, yet both prosper outside the EU. So I feel the UK can do exactly the same. Thank you.
Well done.